to my stay-at-home mom debt confession series. I'm Leticia. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm also in $20,000 in credit card debt. And I will be sharing my financial journey with you to becoming debt-free. And in today's episode, I want to talk about my money story. And this is very hard for me to make, but I believe that there is a lot of power in being honest and transparent about where I'm at financially as a mom, because I'm sure there's other moms who are in similar situations and they don't know how to get out. And I'm kind of in the same boat, but I am working really hard to really pay that off. Backtrack a little bit and talk about my money mindset and where I was at financially before I became a mom. So I was working as a marketing manager, and I always believed that as long as I paid my rent and my bills on time, like utilities and whatnot, that I was fine. From time to time, I would, go Target and buy some things, or go to Starbucks and get my favorite coffee, or travel with family and friends. And I didn't think much of it. I thought, okay, like I'm gonna be fine. And we will go more into depth in the next episode about how I got into credit card debt, because it's more than just spending money here and there. But we will talk about that more in the next episode, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll say no one ever talked to me about money. I just always heard we don't have enough money, we don't have money for this or for that, or money's tight, but no one talked to me about creating a budget, using credit cards responsibly, saving for an emergency fund, saving for retirement, or even having multiple streams of income. As I've gotten older, those are things that I've learned along the way here and there, but I will admit I'm not the greatest of that. But that's something that I'm looking to change about myself and about my money mindset. My life changed in October of 2023. I became a mom to Miss Penelope, who's on the wall behind me. And it was the biggest blessing for me, not just in my personal life, but also it changed me, and it changed how I wanted to live my life and how I viewed life. And I, as I became a mom, I have learned to value my time a lot more. And not only that, I was also battling with postpartum depression, like very severely, and I was in therapy, and I just recently ended, and I do feel better. And so because of the depression and the anger that I was in at the time, like back last summer in 2024, I did quit my job. I was just not happy with working and thinking, oh, this is taking time away from my daughter. And my daughter is the only child I'm ever gonna have, just because I also had very severe preeclampsia, and my husband and I just decided that it's not worth risking my life and my health for another child. So with that being said, like for me, this time with my daughter is very sacred, and I know it's something that I'll never get back, and it's also an experience that I'll never get back again, since I'll only be a mom once. So I did leave my job, and I turned to reselling again. And I used to resell back during the pandemic, and I was like, what can I do to make money? Because I knew in the back of my head I still had this debt that I'm still in, and I knew that I had to pay bills, because I did save money while I was working, and it did get me through for about a year. But now I'm at a point where I don't have any money again. And what I mean by that is my husband, he earns his money at his full-time job, and that covers the bills, of our family, like rent, food, things like that. And we primarily keep our finances separate, but we also have a savings account where we do share money. And that works for us. I know it's different for everybody. And so because I have come into our marriage with debt, he has also come to our marriage in debt. I see that as my responsibility, and I don't feel comfortable asking him to pay for my debt. So that's why I am on this journey. And I'm hoping to get debt free with reselling. And that has its ups and downs as well, but I am learning about it again in this economy and this state of time where it's very different than the pandemic. Anything, I love it, even though there are times where things are really hard. You know, being a mom to a toddler can be challenging, and also just thinking about the debt can feel heavy for me, and it brings me down. And I was talking to my therapist last week, and she told me that, you know, debt is normal. And so that's something that I'm working on, to believing and thinking, you know, and not carrying this guilt and shame with me. You know, as time has gone on, my debt has gone back up, because before I quit my job, I did pay off one credit card in full, and I only had 2 left. But now with, you know, having to pay for 3 people, you know, I have had to use that credit card again. And so now I'm in the same boat that I was last year, and it doesn't feel good, I'll be honest with you. And right now, I'll be totally transparent, my bank account is in the negatives, and I am scrambling, selling things on Facebook Marketplace. Obviously on Poshmark, I'm sending aggressive offers, like I just trying to keep the cash flow going, and I'm selling items to the buy sell trade store. And I don't like this feeling, and this feels like it's a catalyst for me to really pay this off and get creative with the ways that I am paying it off. And I'm just at my breaking point, and I hope you guys can feel that, or if you're in that moment, know that you're not alone. I am on the same boat as you. I will say I don't have a financial plan entirely. So later in another episode, we will be talking about my budget. I'll share my budget with you. I have filled out a budgeting template with all of my expenses for reselling and my debt and the few bills that I pay. Like, I still pay for my own phone, and I pay for Netflix and Spotify. So there's a few tiny bills that I still pay besides my debt. And so we'll talk about that more in a future episode and go through that together. Each sale that I make reminds me that I can rebuild my finances, and that I can change my family and I's financial future, if that makes sense. Which we will talk about later too, is kind of the financial goals that I have for myself and for my family when it comes to my husband and my daughter. You know, because for like example, I don't have a car right now, just to keep our expenses low, but eventually I'd love to have a car again. And also, like, we want to save for a house and save for retirement and save for my daughter's college fund. And those are things that I want to work on being consistent with, on saving money for those goals. So that's just a sneak peek of where my mind is at, of where I would like to be putting my money instead of paying off debt. And I'm sharing this because I know I'm not alone in this financial situation. I know that there's other people out there who are on the same boat. So I'm just here to hopefully motivate and inspire others on a journey of becoming debt free. I was really inspired recently. I came across Project Jen 2.0. I will link her channel below. She is older than me, but I feel like we kind of had the same money mindset in a way, and she's sharing her journey, so go and follow her. She has a couple episodes up, and I watched her and I felt inspired to do the same, to share my own journey. And I'm glad to know that there's someone else who is working hard to pay off their debt, and I hope that you follow along with me on this. And if you have any suggestions or feedback from me, please let me know in the comments, and come back for episode 2 of how I got into credit card debt. And I am deep in thought right now. This feels very freeing to me, even though it is scary to put this kind of information out on the internet. And all I want to say is it's okay to start small and where you're at, and it's important just to make progress. I hope that makes sense. But yes, don't forget to hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I will catch you in the next video. And I apologize for the rambliness. I am very nervous about this, but I'm also excited to share this journey with you, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye.